What's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. I know you guys could probably already tell it is going down just by that title alone. Definitely gonna want to see this one as we're witnessing Fox News The 5 host Harold Ford Jr. is back at it again, guys. He is battling it out head to head against that Jessica Tarloff, trying to see who has been affected the most by that Trump derangement syndrome, guys, that TDS. And I'm going to say this guy may take the cake in this newest update, guys. I'm excited to get into it. So we're not straight into it. So make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Before we even get into it, you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for you, boy. Without further ado, let's get into it, y'all. Check this one out, folks.
Could be wrong. So, Judge Jeanine, when you see these Democrats in these competitive states cozy up to Trump like that, what does that tell you?
Well, it tells me that their internal polling tells them a couple of things. Number one, that Trump is strong in their states. And number two, that they're going to stay away from Kamala. Now, the amazing thing is that these three governors, you're talking about Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Tammy Baldwin, Bob Casey, and Slotkin. They're not all governors, a couple of senators in there. They actually voted to impeach Trump. And yet, right now, they're seeing how the wave is going toward Trump. You know, it's that much more damning. They're not only embracing Trump. I mean, she could have said, Slotkin could have said, you know, I drafted a bill that was signed into law. But she added, by President Trump. She's wrapping herself around Trump, siding with President Trump, Tammy Baldwin says. So what you've got is this blue wall disintegrating. And then when they sit down, the three governors like Shapiro, and Martha Raddatz says, why are they doing this? What is happening to the blue wall? And they're all saying, people are craving leaders. This is Shapiro in Pennsylvania. Leaders who know how to get stuff done. And I can't help but think that, you know, the hurricane helped Trump. You know, he went there, he didn't cause a commotion. He's raising money for the people in North Carolina. He's going to carry North Carolina.
You know how much I love anecdotal evidence, Dan.
I mean, come on, you guys. Judge Jeanine laying it out there. Folks are waking up. They're seeing past what the left-wing lunatics are trying to paint on Donald Trump, saying that he's this bad guy. When you see someone actually show by their actions, they're not mean or, you know, hateful of a person. They actually do care about the American people. I mean, it's hard not to side with them. He's a true leader, guys. Judge Jeanine pointing that out.
People in North Carolina, he's going to carry North Carolina.
You know how much I love anecdotal evidence, Dana. Isn't this great anecdotal evidence that you don't even need to look at the polls? It tells you something.
I don't think, oh, you mean the ads?
Yeah, these ads.
I don't even think that's anecdotal. I mean, that's obvious. That's just a fact that they have a problem and they're trying to fix it. But here's the real problem that they have. Trump is either an unstable threat to democracy or he's somebody that the independents can work with. It can't be both. So you can't have a closing argument that confuses people who, to the extent that there are undecideds left, are going to make up their minds going in. Like, that doesn't give them something to work with. Plus, they keep saying that they don't really know him enough. Then you have some Democrats now who are saying that they have buyer's remorse on Kamala Harris because you had a weakened Scranton Joe, but is a dangerous California liberal worse for these battleground states? Maybe. Maybe they didn't have a choice. And I think Nancy Pelosi would say that they didn't have a choice. They would have loved to have like a mini primary. That didn't work out. But the fact they have buyer's remorse 14 days before an election, not good.
Not good.
Not good.
Greg?
Yes.
Do you think it's kind of disgusting how these politicians will just do and say anything at the last second to stay alive?
You know, the only thing Kamala has in the bag is a bottle of Pinot Grigio. That's all I'm going to say. No, you know, last week on my show, we did a story on a drug that makes the skin of mice transparent. Why?
Oh.
Why would you do that? Because that way you can see what's wrong with the body without having to cut it open.
Oh.
And that is progress. It's called transparency. Why don't we have that mentality here? You know, if we had that mentality in the election system, make it transparent, then we don't have to cut it open after the election. The race is over, but the integrity of the election is still in question. I'm extremely confused by the polls. Right? They say, everybody says, oh, here, look at these polls, but the internal polls are different. And it's like, okay, if the internal polls are better, why don't we look at the internal polls? Screw the other polls. It's like a doctor giving you a diagnosis and then a different one for the hospital. Why is he doing that? Is it because so he can get you on an experimental drug that has not been tested and now I can't cross my legs for a month? That is wrong.
What is wrong?
But
with
I think
this
that
guy?
there's been a huge new demand placed on the voter in terms of vigilance about the election. But it's also, we have to be extra vigilant about public transportation, our streets at night, what your kids are being taught in schools. You have to be vigilant about who's coming into your country, what you're being fed, what drugs you're using, legal or otherwise. I think we're exhausted by the constant vigilance. There's a opportunity cost there that you got to pay attention to everything. And I think that maybe Kamala's looks exhausted, but we're exhausted.
Yeah.
We're tired of having to continue to watch out for everything.
We pay taxes.
I mean, come on, you guys. Greg Gutfeld calling it how it is. And that's why I like to refer, check in on his takes. He's going to call the balls and the strikes exactly how he sees. No matter which team you're playing for, where he's saying, we've got no transparency. This has been one of the most opaque campaigns we've ever seen. Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, it just seems like we don't get anything from them. Whereas on the other side, we got Donald Trump, who's just as forthcoming, and his record backs up everything he's saying. I mean, the choice is just so blatant at this point. And that's why, folks are having that buyer's remorse. They're looking like, oh my goodness, we thought we were getting this during the honeymoon phase, but now we've got absolutely nothing. And we're, 14, a couple days from the election. I mean, come on, y'all.
Yeah.
We're tired of having to continue to watch out for everything.
We pay taxes, so they watch out for everything.
Exactly.
Harold Ford Jr., bring it home.
So Thomas Jefferson and John Adams ran against each other a long time ago. It was a very, very contested race. In fact, it went to the Congress for it to be decided. And the guy who ultimately influenced Congress and how it should be decided, there was a great play that so many people went to see called Hamilton. It was Alexander Hamilton, who didn't like either of the candidates, but eventually sided with Jefferson. We have a history in the country of close elections. We have a history of people wanting to hear more, to your point, Greg, about transparency and hearing the issues. Back then, people wanted to make sure we stayed away from the king and we didn't create a king in our own country. We still have semblance and, for that matter, consistency around that today. This is not a knock at President Trump at all. It's just how we want our country run. We don't want big government or government that is overbearing, which leads me to the point. I like when candidates in the race on bipartisanship. I like it when they talk about perhaps the possibility of healing, perhaps the possibility of a functioning government. Elisa Slotkin's ahead in Michigan. She's probably going to win. I know Mike Rogers. I served with him, but she's probably going to win that race. And she's saying, I think the voters, if you elect me, I can work with Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. I think Tammy Baldwin in so many ways is doing the same thing. Finally, trade, China, energy production, targeted tax cuts. I think they're going to be limited things that Democrats and Republicans can work on together. And I hear in those ads that those candidates who are in tough races are saying to voters, Democrat, Republican alike, if I'm fortunate, if I'm privileged to be elected again, this is what I'm going to do. As an American, I got to tell you, I like that.
Or it's transactional.
There's nothing wrong with that either. That's called government working.
Well, I think we can
As long
all
as it's not
agree
money changing
that
hands.
Hamilton was overrated.
Yes.
Yo, there we have it, guys. I'm not sure if that was a page out of Kamala Harris's playbook there at the end, where we just seen Harold Ford Jr. seemed like just ran out the shot clock. But, that non-transparency is what's going to, walk Donald Trump right on into the White House for another term. I mean, we're seeing that Donald Trump is not only telling the American people, but he's shown us exactly what he is capable of when he's sitting in that seat as president. Whereas on the other side, we've had the last 3.5 years, Harris Biden, alongside of her terrible track record, and we've got nothing but word salad and not much substance to back her up. It's tough to make the choice and say, hey, I'm going to go with Harris Walz unless you just let people tell you where your vote should go. At this point, it just seems so obvious, guys, but definitely hop in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. Also, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you did enjoy more content like this, I'll catch you guys on the next week.